Please note that the content of this episode has explicit language and is not suitable for underage listeners. Welcome to Secrets from a Phone Sex Queen, everything you always wanted to know about phone sex and more. I'm CJ. Let's get started. I wanted to start this episode with a caller I had for quite some time. The first time he called was 2 months after his wife passed away in 2019. They had been married for 66 years. He told me that he was in his 80s, and I chuckled inside just thinking that an 80-year-old was calling me, and so soon after his wife passed away. The first getting to know you call was him telling me about his wife and how she had had an affair. The affair went on for several years. I believe it started when she was in her 40s with a man who was in his 20s. It sounded like the affair started because her husband was always working and didn't pay enough attention to her, which he regrets now that she had passed. He remembered the man's name, how they met. He was a mechanic at a small shop, and what they did because at some point she told him about the affair and what went on. It sounded like he had had an affair or two, and this was her chance to do it and kind of get back at him. It felt quite cathartic for him to describe her affair, tell me in detail about it. The second time he called me, he told me his name, what company he started, how much he was worth and is worth, and he's worth millions. And the phone actress side of my brain was, how do I get some of that? When the logical, realistic side of my brain was saying, I'm providing a service and good for him for calling and wanting to discuss this all with me. And it wasn't about the money, but the money's always in the back of my mind. Not always, but when it comes to rich guys, it kind of is. I believed what he told me because one day when we spoke, his alarm company called because his house alarm had gone off. And he said to me, hold on a moment. He then went to the other phone and confirmed what his name was to the alarm company. So he was who he said he was. And of course, I looked him up online and found out a little bit of something about him. After a few calls, he wanted me to role play that I was having the affair, that I was his wife, telling him all about it. He would call me by her name and he would describe what she had done and he would want me to just agree. He would say things like, tell me where he fucked you in the house. Did you like it? I know you liked it. You're such a slut. Oh my God, you love it. I must say I found this to be a bit uncomfortable and strange, but of course I did it. In the back of my mind, I was always thinking, if I don't take the call, someone else will and they will make the money. So why shouldn't it be me? After several months of calling, he started sounding like a lot of my other callers, except he had money. He was saying, I will fly you on my private jet to see me, to spend time with me. I will pay for everything, if only I could. To be wined and dined, why not? But of course, I had to say no. I have to stay here and work. I'm so sorry, I just can't come. He would say, even though my grandson lives with me, I'm lonely. You would make me so happy. I have a house in New Jersey and a house in Florida, and it would be so wonderful, and I could take you to Mar-a-Lago where I've been several times. I always felt bad giving him an excuse. It just kind of broke my heart a little bit. After a couple of years, he told me he no longer had control of his money. He didn't think he'd be able to call for much longer. People would know what he was doing and would not allow it. Yes, he had his kids and grandkids and possibly great-grandkids, but he was still lonely. I don't know what happened to him. The last time I checked online, he was still alive. I know I repeat myself, but I feel like I'm providing a great service when I talk to people like him that are alone, and in his case, someone who lost a spouse. It makes them feel less alone. I'm not judgmental that even at his age, he could act out a role play and actually get off. I only wish him nothing but the best. I hope he meets someone and has the rest of his life and with somebody and is happy. So more recently, I received a call from a man who said he wanted my honest opinion about something. When they say that always concerns me. Do they really want my honest opinion or do they want me to lie? But he's asking, so we'll see how that goes. He asked me if large spurts of cum versus small spurts of cum were important to me. I chuckled and I said, no, it didn't matter to me. And are you serious? I asked him how large or small he was, and he said he was about 7 to 7.5 inches. My response was, well, you have a nice size. Who cares about the length of the spurt? He said, well, doesn't that matter if you want to get pregnant? And I said, with a large size like what you have, as long as you're inserted all the way in, you could get someone pregnant, and that shouldn't be a problem. He said his girlfriend or wife, I don't recall which, likes a lot of spurt, a long, long spurt. I told him that if I spoke to my friends that the length of the spurt is not as important as the size of the penis. And as a matter of fact, I had never heard anyone call me talking about the length of the spurt. He appreciated my response, thought it was kind of funny, and hung up. Okay. Well, a week later, he called me again and said that he was asking me all of this because his girlfriend, wife, whatever she is, I think girlfriend, was fooling around on him, which he knew, with another man who happened to be black. I was concerned that she would get pregnant by him. And what should he do? I said, if you don't mind raising another man's baby, then stay with her. I'm not qualified to tell you what to do. It's all a matter of what you want to do, and it's up to you. It isn't written in stone what you should or shouldn't do. It's a matter of what makes you, what you want, makes you feel good, and what you want to do. It was really kind of odd that he's asking me what he should do. It can be challenging when somebody wants your opinion, and I could say, stay with her because she's your girlfriend and you love her, and give him all these reasons to stay, or on the flip side, give him all these reasons to leave. But ultimately, it's not up to me. It's up to you. It's a big responsibility that someone is laying at your feet to tell them what to do. Not that they'll listen to you, but you never know. I don't want to be responsible for that decision. He seemed confused and really in a difficult position because he really didn't know what he wanted. So I hope that he figures it out and is able to make a decision that he's happy with. I do ultimately want my callers to be happy, if that is even possible. It didn't sound like he wanted to have a baby or be a father, and his concern was that she would have a black baby, and how would he tell his family? I said, do what is best for you. People. So I'm going to continue on with some of the types of fetish calls I receive. Let's start with the adult baby. Adult baby is exactly what it sounds like, but quite surprising and interesting as well. There are two types of adult babies that I'm aware of that I've spoken with. And the first one is the person who works by day, comes home, puts on a diaper, has a pacifier, and lives their nights and weekends as a baby. They probably have a bottle as well and a rattle, and that's how they live their nights and weekends. The second, more extreme and more frequent type of adult baby call is the one that lives that life 100% of the time as an adult baby. What that means is if they don't already have a woman acting as their mother, which could be a girlfriend or wife or some other female figure, they would then possibly go to a fetish convention looking for a mommy. They often play in a playpen during the day, sleep in a crib, wear diapers, drink bottles, have a pacifier, and are supported by their mommy. They do not work, and that is how they live their lives. Isn't that a great life? Think about it. They have nothing to worry about and nothing to do, and someone who supports and takes care of them and loves them. They call me for a few reasons. They want to tell me about being an adult baby, and they want me to talk about diapering them and how they want to touch their peepees. Keep in mind that these are adult men wanting to talk about touching their peepees. Not a cock, not a dick, not a penis, a peepee. Keep in mind that this is all very real to them. What I have found is that they are adult babies because they love the feeling of being nurtured and taken care of, and they find that this extreme way of living brings them back to a time where they felt safe and secure. Our role play continues after they tell me why they are an adult baby and how they want to powder and diaper them and feed them, and they want me to nurture them and take care of them, and they want to rub themselves on the outside of the diaper because it feels good. They like the feeling of the diaper against their peepee. This is quite satisfying for them. Sometimes they'll put their hand in their diaper, but oftentimes it's outside. They call me mommy. They want to be my good boy. On occasion, when they call me, it's because they've been left alone and told that it's okay to make a call. They would never call without permission from their mommy. So that's the adult baby. Now, on the other side of the adult baby is the diaper girl. So there have been a few callers that have diaper fetishes. Not with children, but with women. Not with them wearing the diapers, but with women wearing the diapers. The phrase that they use is diaper girl. One caller stands out where he would call me and ask me if I liked wearing diapers. Of course, I had to say yes. So he continued on by saying to me I should buy adult diapers on Amazon that have unicorns on them and that they smell like cotton candy. And I'm like, how do you know all this? They just do. Once I got the diapers, he would call me back and we would have a diaper session. He waited a few weeks. He wrote me online and said, "Did you get the diapers?" I said, "Yeah." Of course I didn't. He wanted me to diaper myself and tell him how it felt. He would ask me questions like, "How does it feel being my diaper girl? Don't you like the sound of the diapers and the feel on your private parts being in a diaper? Doesn't it make you feel sexy? I think you need to stay in diapers for a very long time. Did you buy powder too? Powder yourself before putting the diaper on. When you pee-pee in the diaper, doesn't it feel warm and don't you feel good about that?" He didn't seem to physically get off on this. It was all a mental, emotional excitement for him. He would tell me stories about real life experiences that he had with women, diapering them and becoming this dominating father figure to them that excited him greatly. I didn't get the feeling that he had any children, but I didn't ask. I believe he was in his 50s or 60s. He calls me every so often, a few times a year. I'm sure there are other women he speaks with that are more enthusiastic than me, but I try to sound like I really, really like it and I enjoy it. The next type of call I get, getting away from the diapers and adult babies, is a blackmail call. This is an interesting one. So one day I got a call and somebody says to me, "I want you to blackmail me," and I really didn't understand what that meant. And quite frankly, I still don't. I do and I don't, but it's all very foreign to me. So come to find out that there are men who find it extremely exciting at the idea of getting information from them, personal information, and holding it over their head, blackmailing them so that they pay the phone sex actress to not give out their information. They want to give the phone sex actress all their money. Just deplete it and give it all to them. So this particular caller wanted to give me their Venmo. I didn't have a Venmo, so I had to set up a Venmo. And that way I could take money from their credit card or their Venmo and put it in my account. He gave me a picture of his license and his credit card number and wanted me to take all his money and blackmail him by not putting his address and name that he had given me online unless he gave me more money. And in this particular case, it didn't work because it seemed that all the information he had given me was not real. He had given me a license and it was really very strange. This was super frustrating. I gave in to my better judgment and continued with this even though it wasn't working. It ended up where my Venmo just didn't work at all and nothing was working on his end. I would email him and berate him and nothing worked. I think in this particular case, he was getting off on how angry I was getting because he was pulling one over on me and not doing what he said he wanted. It was awful. I was getting frustrated and angry and more angry. And it was my first blackmail call where I thought someone was actually giving me information when all they seemed to be doing was playing with me. And so he was the first of a few people who wanted me to do this, and they got excited at the whole blackmail thing. Yes, take all my money, take all my money. And of course, as a phone actress and as a person, it's like, yeah, I'll take all your money. If that's what you want, I'll take it all. But it never worked. This was never something I wanted to pursue, and now I see why. I think it's a game for a lot of people. I think there are a majority of people out there, or maybe it's a minority of people out there who really mean it, and it works. So after the first time and being burned by spending so much time trying to get the money off the credit card, which I didn't want to do, and I figured that this is something that I'm not good at doing, nor do I want to do it. So now I tell people, no, this didn't work. I was really frustrated. I was angry with him. I was angry at myself. And I realized that is, I always say that I don't want to be judgmental. I'm kind of judgy with the blackmail guys because I don't think that they're sincere. I mean, really, what do I expect? Honestly, I was naive when it came to the blackmail. And so I will gladly give those to someone else. I am done with them and we will move on. So blackmail is just bad, really bad. But it's bad for me, maybe not somebody else. Okay, on to something I'm better at and not really much better at, but there is the little dick fetish. Now, before I get into this story that I'm going to tell you about a caller, I always thought that you had the men who were very proud of how large they were, and that the men who were small were embarrassed. Now, that was what I thought. And that could still very well be the case. But let me tell you about my little dick calls. And I'll get into this one, like I said, in a second. My little dick calls are men who are very proud, number one, to have small dicks. And they like to be made fun of, which is shocking to me because who wants to be humiliated? Apparently, there is a very large contingency of men out there who love to be humiliated about their little dicks. So, one of the recurring fetishes throughout my years is little dicks. I mean, these men and their little dicks, they call all the time. You hear about men who are proud of their big penis, like I said, and as a phone sex queen, I never realized that there is such a group of men who want to be humiliated, like I said, by their little dicks. Some come right out and say it. They have no problem saying, oh, mistress, I have a little dick. And then there's a role play that, you aren't worthy of my pussy and I'm going to go find some other guy and fuck them and you can watch or whatever. And then they cry and, it's a whole big thing, which is really surprising. And it actually really does surprise me often. So here's a good example of a caller I currently have that has a little dick. He calls me up and tells me he's a loser because he has a little dick and he likes to be made fun of a lot. He tells me he pays for prostitutes to come and laugh at him. He doesn't have sex with them. He's too small. He tells me he goes to strip clubs and gets lap dances and just pays these women. Whether he does or not, I don't know, but he wants to tell me that he is a little dick loser and he wants to be told that over and over. He sends me photos. He wants me to give them to my friends. He wants my friends to take his picture and post it all over the internet, just of his dick, so people will laugh at him. The more he hears that, the more he gets off on it. He wants to know that people are laughing at what a little dick loser he is. He likes that phrase, little dick loser. I, of course, tell him I'm passing out his picture and my friends are posting it on all sorts of websites so that people can look at it and laugh. But of course, I'm not doing that. I'm just telling him that. He thanks me and is so grateful. He just loves it. He always says how he loves talking to a beautiful woman who makes fun of him. Passing around his photo is not something I would do. One day he called me and said he was done with the fetish. He's not a little dick loser. He completely different voice. He had a completely different demeanor. He told me it was all a lie. It wasn't true. It was just a fetish of his that he wanted to act it out. But that only lasted a couple of weeks. And then he called me and he said he went back to being a little dick loser and he wanted to live the life of a little dick loser. And he didn't like living what he called a normal life. He wanted to give his money away. He said he wasn't able to pay his rent. He wasn't able to get food. His lights were going to be turned off. And he just wanted a pretty girl to talk to who will tell him what a loser he was. I don't know if any of that is true. But I just went along with it and I would feel bad and I'd go, I'm so sorry. And he'd be like, no, it's okay. It's okay. There've been a couple calls where he would actually cry. How do you think that makes me feel? But I have to forge forth and continue to humiliate him and tell him how small he is. I have to just get in my head and say, I'm not doing this on purpose. I'm not saying these mean things because I feel like it. He's wanting me to say these things. It makes him feel a certain way, whether it's good or bad. It's something that the caller wants. And I'm all about making the caller feel good and give them what they want and satisfy them if that means telling them that they're a little dick loser or whatever I say to him. So he keeps calling and he's happy, and that's really, at the end of the day, all I want. But it took a little turn. Recently, he's been writing me on the site saying that he wants to get arrested. How can he get arrested? Well, I call the police on him. He gives me his address. I said, no, I'm not calling the police. You haven't done anything for me to call the cops and get you arrested. So he's begging me, and I said, no, find yourself someone else. So a few emails later, he said he was going to get arrested for harassing another phone sex operator. I said, okay. And then he says, wait, they're outside my house. And I said, okay. And the next day he wrote me and he said he got arrested and he was in a cell and he was really scared. And if any of this is true, I don't even know. But I just said, okay. So after the scariness, he said, I think I'll probably do it again. And all I said to him is that I'm not the woman to call the police on him and that he would have to find someone else. And he did. Obviously he did. Or maybe he did. Or it's all in his head. I just really have to say that I get a lot of little dick calls, more than I ever dreamed of, like I said before. And he is the only one that has taken it to this extreme about wanting to be arrested and being made fun of at the same time. It's really interesting and kind of sad to me, but it is what it is. It takes all kinds. So another fetish, if you will, is breeding. I'm thinking a lot of you know what breeding is. Breeding, everyone knows, is when a man wants to impregnate a woman. And I get calls that they're wanting to breed me. They want to continually have sex with me and continually get me pregnant and have baby after baby after baby. And they love fucking a pregnant woman. They like sucking on her big, ginormous tits. And once the baby's born, they want to suck on the tit that the baby's not on, and then get you pregnant again, get me pregnant again. So it's just really that straightforward that it's these guys just want to breed and breed and breed, and they like pregnant women. Another call I had that's a little off topic of any of this is it's called the alcohol enema call. You can imagine. I had a caller who said he was a doctor, and he goes, I have a great idea for you. You need to do an alcoholic enema. And I said, why would I need to do that, actually? His response was, if you do an alcoholic enema and you drive, if you were to get pulled over for whatever reason, you would still pass a breathalyzer. I said, oh, that's interesting. I'll have to try it sometime. Thank you for the information. He kind of laughed and hung up on me. It was a very quick call. And when he hung up, I shook my head and I said, that's different. I don't think I'll try it. I will tell you as my listeners, I don't suggest trying it, but I haven't tried it, but I just don't suggest trying it. So that's up to you, but I don't suggest it. So this week's question is, how do you know if what the caller is telling you is the truth? Does it really matter? Anyway, to be fair, you never really know what is the truth and what isn't. You can only listen and make your own determination. And to be honest, does it really matter what is the truth and what isn't? No. However, I do have a pretty good bullshit meter, and I can get a feeling if someone is truthful or if the caller is just full of it. I kind of act differently if I feel someone is trying to bullshit me. I have a tone of, yeah, bullshit me more, whatever. But of course, they don't know that. I would say the majority of my callers are telling me the truth. At least I think they are. And at the end of the day, again, does it really matter? No. Not really. They're paying. I really don't know what they would get out of it to lie to me, to pull one over on me. Like I've said before, people call to talk, to confess, and if they want to lie or expound on the truth, that's up to them. It's not for me to judge truth or not the truth. Look, I'm not telling them the whole truth about me, just some of it. It's all about being anonymous and telling me whatever they feel they want to tell me at the time. It's a job. I don't care if it's all a lie. If they're willing to pay, that's really all that matters. If they want to spend all this money lying to me, so be it. I don't care. So I think that it doesn't matter if they're calling and telling me the truth. If it's what they're getting out of it, whatever they need or want to get out of the call. So that's all for now. On the next podcast, I will continue with the fetishes and more phone calls I've taken. I will answer emails, questions, comments, whatever you have for me. Thank you for listening to Secrets from a Phone Sex Queen, everything you always wanted to know about phone sex and probably a whole lot more. And don't forget to please email me at phonesexqueen1, that's the number 1, at gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram at phonequeen1 and on Facebook at CJCJ. Until next time, stay sexy.